Hello and welcome to the Kimberley IT podcast, episode 77. Myself, James, the founder of Kimberley IT, joined with co-founder Carl, and this week we've got PJ Ellis from Lightbox Digital. How are you doing, PJ?
I'm good, thanks, gents. I'm very well. The sun is shining. Tuesday, you know what can go wrong? How about you lot?
It was nice. Yesterday, I think, was like the first day where it properly got sunny in the afternoon from that I can remember. And so when I was driving up to pick my daughter from school, I thought, okay, this is much better weather now. I'm liking the sun.
Yeah.
I've realised I'm getting old now because before I liked it when it was cold and wintry, but now I'm liking when it's sunny and warm.
No, it does have a massive impact, doesn't it, on your day? You know, I think obviously the first lockdown was ridiculously difficult for everybody, but the fact that it was so sunny, I mean, potentially got us through more than you probably know. Yeah. You know, so there's that thing, isn't it? It's sad, isn't it? SAD or something. You can actually have like lights next to your bed that resemble the sun or something to give you more energy. So
yeah, isn't it seasonal?
Seasonal affective disorder. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
There we go. We're digressing already, but like it's good, isn't it? Sun is what it's all about. The sun. I love it.
So for everyone who wants to know, PJ is the founder of LoveBrum, which is a charity based in Birmingham. You're also we're corporate sponsor to that, and you're also the director of Lightbox Digital, a digital marketing agency based in Birmingham. And for anyone who's watching the video version of this on YouTube, you may find PJ recognizable or think you've seen that face somewhere before, because you were a star on season 3 of Big Brother when everyone watched it.
Yeah, it was. Yes, Big Brother 3, not 19 years ago now. So yeah. People might think, oh, where do I know that guy from? I don't know where they'll recognise me from Big Brother. I do get the whole sort of, where do I know you from? Are you my sister's mate or something like that? I certainly didn't have the specs then, but I definitely still had the bald head. So, but no, it was an awesome time in my life.
Well, I imagine season 3 was like one of the series, one of the most watched ones, because you got season 1, everyone saw that, and then everyone wants to go on season 2, and then they see season 3, and then it probably started to get a bit repetitive after that. It went down. So I reckon season 2 and season 3 are probably the most watched ones.
Yeah, I haven't told many people this, only probably everyone that I meet, but it was the most watched series. And I think that was because of the momentum. You know, reality TV is here, there, and everywhere at the moment, but it certainly wasn't them back then. It was more of I think I'm proud to have been part of the proper Big Brother, where it was a real social experiment. I mean, it did turn into a pretty car crashy towards the end.
Before it went to Channel 5.
Yeah, well, no comment. But, you know, it's still like a really well watched, well, it was. But no, it was,
How far did you stay in? How far did you last?
Last couple of weeks. It was really frustrating, actually, because I never actually had a vote internally. No one ever voted me off. I think it was just because, you know, us laid back brummies, we just sort of stay out of any confrontation, sort of sit there and have a laugh. But it was the way they selected the housemates to be up for nomination. They asked us to do it, and I pulled a short straw. And I was up against Kate Lawler, who obviously went on to win it.
I did watch that season then, because she was nice.
Nice lady, very presentable lady. I'm good friends with Kate. She just had a baby actually last week, which is great news. But yeah, it was brilliant, lads. It was you know, don't get me wrong, I got my little 15 minutes of fame as a 21-year-old, which was amazing, and afforded me like a little insight into what it might be to be famous and, you know, drive the fast cars and what have you. But no, it was more importantly, the experience, like from a long-standing point of view, was amazing. Like, it's been a massive benefit to me in ways that I never could have imagined. Not so much professionally and everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's never got in the way of that. But the people that I've met and the experiences I've had will stay with me forever. They don't make their way onto the CV, but they'll certainly be something I'll tell the grandkids when I'm older.
Super. So I guess if they brought it back, you'd be telling your son, get on there. You want to get on there for the opening.
My son's very theatrical. Like, I think he's either got the face for radio or the face, one of the two. Is that I think he's very like his dad. I have for radio. He's probably got more of the face for TV, to be fair. He's a good looking kid, but he's well into like the drama and stuff. So yeah, maybe he'll want to sort of do a bit more than I did on telly, see what happens. But going back to LoveBrum, thanks so much for your support, guys. I mean, and thank you for saying I'm a founder. Technically, I'm a co-founder. There's Tim and Andrews and Dave McLean helped me set that up. But it's
glory.
Yeah, no, listen, thank you so much for your support that you've given us. All the stuff that you do for us is massively helpful and really does help us support all the local projects that we do year in, year out. So thank you for that.
Super. And we'll talk a bit more about LoveBrum a bit later on in the podcast too, and Lightbox. So what have you been up to in the last 2 weeks? You got anything noteworthy you want to share with people? Personal, private?
Personal, I've been a bit like yourself, gents, juggling a couple of jobs and, other bits and bobs that we do, as well as homeschooling and kids. Yeah. If I'm honest, I'm a little bit tired this week. I probably look like it. I always look knackered, to be honest. But no, I am tired, but tired in a good way, just because we've been so busy at Lightbox and LoveBrum, really. Over the last year or so, we've been sort of we'll probably come on to that in more detail during this chat, but the last 2 weeks, we're just constantly looking at processes. We've won some clients, so we've been onboarding new clients. We've got new starters at Lightbox, so we're inducting the new team members and stuff. So it's just, and then obviously trying to work remotely, and effectively. It's just there's challenge after challenge, but I think the challenges that are being met are only going to make our businesses and the charities that are supporting everything better. So actually, it's a real positive piece of work that we're doing. What about yourself?
Well, we've had some decent leads come through. We've had 3 new leads come through, 2 converted. One ghosted me. So I actually posted on LinkedIn. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I'm thinking about leaving them a 1-star review on Google reviews.
Okay.
Because my theory about this is they contacted me. They had 40 minutes of my time on a video call like this. I sent over a copy of it and all the documentation afterwards. Sent follow-up emails that we have email trackers so we can see that they've opened them and read them, but no responses whatsoever. So my experience of their service hasn't been great. So I was considering, should people leave 1-star reviews on leads who ghost you, because that is a genuine review of the service that they provided to you in return for what you've given to them. So I've stuck that on LinkedIn. There's been quite a few comments on there, and I think quite a lot of people seem to agree with it. What's your take? I can imagine you've been ghosted as well.
Oh,
and stuff.
We get ghosted all the time. I think, I was just having a conversation this morning about whether I've never been really political. I'm not saying you've been political there, mate, by saying that, but I try and keep I don't know why. I think it's just, I've never really been super confident in believing in my own opinions, really. It's a weird one. It's a struggle I've been on for years personally. But I think I'd like to be a bit more vocal on things like that, because it does frustrate me, certainly from running an agency, and a bit like yourselves, guys. I think there's this sort of supposition, or that people are allowed to come to you and ask you for everything and anything, time, experience, insight for free. Yeah. And then, do that whilst they're talking to another 3 or 4 individuals or organisations that will do the same for them. Yeah. And then when, the smallest things or the smallest acts of kindness that you're asking them to reciprocate with, i.e., can you give us a little bit of feedback, or can you tell me a bit more about where we went? It's just like, gone.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, you don't realize how much energy we've put into that.
I think it falls into the category, James, where the assumption made is that the person buying from you has all the power. And that's an assumption that's made in all business, that I get a client and then I've got to do anything I can to keep that client. I must do everything the client wants, even if what the client wants is actually making my business worse for me and my other customers.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the assumption that comes with buying, that they have all the power and you have none. And actually, that's wrong. And what James and I always talk about is, well, that's not the case. We provide a quality service and we know what we do is excellent. And therefore, we're not going to have anybody take the Michael out of us. And we both talked about this instance, and we said, should we go back and do this? Because it could be quite harsh.
Yeah.
But we gave him every chance. Like I would say to James sometimes, well, maybe he's been unwell, maybe he's had COVID, let's give them a bit of a gap. So we have, and there's still nothing. Yeah. So I'm in agreement as well. Yeah. Sometimes you've got to call people out. It's not right.
It's 3 follow-up emails, and it's not hard just to reply back saying, no thanks, thank you for the time, but no, it doesn't suit us. Great, we've put closure on that. I know there's no point me contacting you or pestering you again about it. So
it does go back to behaviour, doesn't it? I think a lot of people will be, regardless of the situation, we're all going through it, and I think I'll certainly be judging certain people and organisations by their behaviours during this time. I think we do need to unite one way or another and sort of push back on people that we allow to do that. It's our fault, as Carl said. We need to be braver as how we need to set the tone as a business. There's a brilliant book I read recently, actually. I think I can't remember what it's called, actually. The Manifesto of Winning Without Pitching, I believe, an author called Blair Ennis. And it's all about, like, you know, derailing the pitch process, controlling, collaborating. It's more about being the practitioner and not the performer. And actually, it's difficult to install, especially now, because people are like, oh, we need you, you know, but it needs to be the right revenue, it needs to be the right partner, and that does start with respect. And have you left that review yet?
Not yet. I'm waiting for all the feedback on LinkedIn, but I think there's a good chance it's going to happen, because I don't back down. I don't back down when I get ghosted.
Oh man, drop a poll, see what happens.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking maybe they'll see the review and then they'll go, "Oh, get in contact. Can you remove that review?"
Yeah,
but you need to become a customer now.
There we go. You've got them by the short and curlies. Good luck, guys.
The final good news is the other client is based in the Cayman Islands with it's a global training organization for corporate businesses, and wonderful to work with. Colin, who's the owner, it's like when he rings up, it's good. It's all good. It's just a great guy. They were meant to actually go live on Friday last week, but the person who controls the settings on their domain, DNS settings are called, forgot in the Cayman Islands. So I was chatting to Colin, and Colin goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. That's called island time. Island time means that there's a good barbecue going on in the beach, and that's where they've gone off to and forgotten to do what they needed to do. So it's been postponed to this weekend. But yeah, it's
Spanish call it siesta, don't they? You know, 2 hours out in the day. That's awesome. You know, I'm sure you should be setting up accounts in the Cayman Islands. There might be some benefits there for you guys to do that. Surely you should be looking at.
The thing is, with whenever we win a new client, we have sushi because we love sushi. But because of COVID, we haven't been. Me and Carl haven't actually seen each other in real life for over a year now.
Oh wow, okay.
And we've got probably, I don't know how many sushi. We need to find out how many sushi meals we've got, because we're gonna be fat.
A lot of sushi too. Yeah, we can probably try multiple restaurants, to be honest, James, in the region.
Yeah.
How cool would that be, actually, to support? There's loads of independents, Sushi Passion and all that around.
Yeah, we always go Sushi Passion.
That's our favourite one, is Sushi Passion. Yeah, that's a great one in the Great Western Arcade in Birmingham. Yeah, it's lovely.
Is that an independent, or is it a chain? I don't know.
I think it's independent.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
Basically, the guy originally started in the Birmingham Fish Market.
Yeah.
As one of the, on the stall, and then he moved out. Then he got the place in Great Western, because they're three Polish guys, and they all went. They all lived in Japan for 10 years to learn the trade. But they fell out. So one of them owns Sushi Passion. The other one still owns the stall in the Bullring Fish Market, and the third one is the one on Bristol Street. There's a sushi down there, so they've all got their own sushi restaurants now.
It's almost like Adidas and Puma, you know. You know, no, fair play. I'm not a massive sushi fan. I wish I was, because the whole
You're missing out.
Oh, the experience looks amazing. I did try. A good friend of mine, Matt Roden, Clemenson Church Taylor. He said, "I'll take to Sushi Passion," and I was like, "All right, let's do this." And I remember it was very traditional. Back then, they had those like beads across the door that you open.
Yeah, still there.
Woof! I was like, whoa! I just literally couldn't deal with it. But a quick story on sushi: if you are massive sushi fans and you want a massive rave up or tear up in Ibiza, to skip the Pasha queues, and I go to Ibiza every year trying to hold on to my youth. But the workers told me that there's a bit of an inside hack, that literally if you go to the sushi restaurant that's in the rocks, built in next to Pasha, and you have a meal and you have a nice time, whatever it is, they invite you into Pasha for free after. So you miss the queues, you have a nice bite, and you don't have to pay to get into Pasha. So there we go. You've learned something.
Bet you wish you knew that a few years or so ago, Carl. Did you ever go to Ibiza, Carl?
You know what? I never actually went to Ibiza in all my days of clubbing in Birmingham and stuff like that. No, I never did. I used to go to Miss Moneypenny's, and then used to go to I can't remember what they were. There were private parties that were held in like stately homes and stuff around that time.
Yeah. When you had to do fancy dress and stuff.
Yes.
What was that called? Yeah, you didn't get the details, did you, until like about a week before?
Right. Yeah, you couldn't just buy a ticket. You had to know the right people, then you could get a ticket. And then on the morning, they'd text you and tell you where it was, and you'd get a coach to it and stuff like that. And I can't remember. They used to have celebrity DJs and stuff there. They were good. I used to like going to them.
Mate, literally, our office now is like a stone's throw from where Moneypenny's used to be.
That's right.
I had some seriously good times there, mate. Straight onto Wobble and Crunch after and stuff like that. But...
yeah, I used to go down to Tintin's afterwards because that would stay open until like 10 a.m. or some such like that. And yeah, I couldn't cope with that now. It'd kill me.
Oh, I'll certainly try sometimes. Certainly, it's got me back into the session a little bit, certainly at the start. But oh yeah. Anyway, we digress. Back to tech.
No worries, no worries. We got we're going to do a quick recap of the new content that we've stuck out. Have you guys got anything new that LoveBrum that you've stuck out or
yeah,
Lightbox?
More so Lightbox, to be fair. I mean, LoveBrum's been a lot of internal work. But, you know, we've got basically new HQ, a lot of new people around the projects and stuff like that, which is great. But Lightbox, we've got our own. We've invested in an individual. She comes from a sports nutrition brand, Philippa, and she's looking after our own marketing because, I mean, it's still nowhere near what we want it to be. For a number of reasons, we've just signed up to be a HubSpot partner. So we're rebranding and just about to launch our new website. So we're sort of aligning how we talk to these prospects about inbound and stuff like that. But I won't bore you about that too much. But she's came on to do our own marketing. So she's constantly, for now, just pushing the blog button. We're doing a lot of content at the moment. I've wrote a few down here. If you just go over to the Lightbox blog, you'll see. But we've got everything from the importance of social listening to how to build a strong brand using social media. Even you guys will probably know this. There's an iOS 14 update that affects like tracking on Facebook ads and stuff like that. All the way down to something less interesting for me, but very important from a technical point of view around URL structures and stuff. So go and check it out if you want. It's loads of good content there, and obviously you'll be remarketed until you sign up to us as a digital marketing partner.
And that's is it lightboxdigital.com?
Okay,
cool. We bought some videos out. You did one about customizing the Windows 10 taskbar, didn't you, Carl? So it turns out if you're using a Windows machine or even a Mac machine, if you move your taskbar to the left-hand side of the screen, you get the most real estate on the screen. You can left or right-hand side, but you get the most real estate on the screen because those pixels at the bottom of the screen take up a lot of space. And the thing is, websites are generally vertical. You scroll down. So it makes sense having a longer horizontal, as long as horizontal as you can, rather than vertical, because websites aren't designed widescreen; they're designed vertically to scroll down. So you show them how to do that, Carl. I think you did one as well for the Mac, didn't you? Too.
Yeah, I've repeated most of the ones that I've done for Windows recently for Mac as well, because it kind of makes sense to do that. Because there's not too many videos out there for Mac users, but we do come across, we've got quite a lot, really. We've probably got a quarter of computers that are being used by our clients and Macs. And there's hardly any information out there on how to do little bits and pieces for that. It's kind of assumed that if you own a Mac, therefore you're some kind of guru on it. Actually, that's infrequently not the case. Yeah. People happen to be given them because their company has used them or likes the look of them or whatever. But people are not Mac gurus like the assumption was back in the day. They need the help as much as anybody else does. Yeah,
you're so right. I was fascinated when you guys popped into the office and showed us little tips and tricks about Gmail and stuff. You know, the amount of stuff that I just like. My default now is if I need a new computer, I'll go and get a Mac. I literally just use it for email. There's so many other things that just that scroll thing, that whole taskbar advice there. I've just been playing with my mouse cursor here, and I've just realised, there's a new experience that I never knew I could have. So it's those tips and tricks that you do, guys, are awesome. And I think you're right, Carl. When I look for Mac stuff, I think there needs to be more content out there for Mac users, because it does come back to Windows. I don't know whether that's because do they still use more Windows-based sort of applications? I don't know.
Mac's still a growing operating system. We were looking at this the other day. James showed me some stats, and it showed how Chrome OS is growing. And it's actually not taking from Mac; it's taking from Windows. And Mac is still growing.
Windows is still massive, though. Windows is like 90%, and then you've got Chrome OS. So that's a bit. Windows about 80%. You've got Chrome OS on something like 7%, Mac on 6%, and then all the others and stuff like that going on usage. We use Windows mainly because we need to be able to install apps and just know that the apps are there. The app ecosystem for Windows is still the biggest by a long, long way. And there's lots of different alternatives you can use as well.
It's what people use. It's what most of our customers use, so it makes sense. I've still got a MacBook Pro that I keep around and I do the videos on, so I can help people with Mac issues and say, We do have them. It can be a lot more faff to install a piece of software onto a Mac than Windows, because Apple does have a lot of security, but it has so much security it becomes too complicated for people, and so they tend to try and bypass it. So it sort of shoots itself in the foot.
Okay.
And then we have a Pixel book each for Chrome OS for that. And we have a lot of customers now who are taking more Chromebooks. We're starting to see that because everything's in the cloud. They don't need anything installed anymore, particularly in the accounting sector. So we're starting to see a lot more. But what we found with that was you can easily find a cheap Chromebook, like half the price of a Windows laptop, but it won't cut it. Actually, you need to spend the same amount of money that you would have spent on the Windows computer for the Chrome one. So it's not like you can cut corners on costs. It's going to cost you the same, but it's a different experience. And the Chromebook, of course, ultimately is very easy to look after. Anyone can sign in, everything sets up, and there's no data on it. It's secure in the sense that there's nothing on the device. Everything's in the cloud, but it's not going to cut your costs. But it will if you were spending on Macs, because they're crazy money still.
I know, they are expensive, aren't they?
But they do last a long time. You know, if you're not changing what you do significantly, you can probably get 8 to 10 years out of a high-end Mac that costs you $2,000. So
we actually had a super easy challenge coming from a customer yesterday. Is a director who's got a Mac, but he wants to go back to Windows. And I said, so what's your budget? Because it can be unlimited on a Windows machine. And it basically, he wants a machine that's as good as a Mac or better than a Mac for the same price you would pay for a MacBook Pro. Well, that's dead easy then, because PCs are naturally cheaper anyway. So I'm getting something that's way more powerful than your MacBook Pro for the same price that you pay for a MacBook Pro.
And what is the best? I mean, I don't know whether you're endorsed by any sort of brand, but what is the best laptop out there at the moment?
There's not really a laptop. They're just different manufacturers. So because they all run Windows in the end, so it's Windows that's the main thing that's on there. The problem we find that most people do is they moan about a Windows PC, and then you ask them how much you bought, how much you pay for it. Oh, it's 300 quid from PC World. Well, don't you think that's the reason why it's going to be, not great compared to a Mac? At least with MacBooks, you know that you're spending up to $2,000 basically if you want a really decent one there, and that's going to be a good machine. But if you spend the same amount on a PC, you're going to get an even better machine.
Yeah, we generally have a computer that's around £500 at the moment. I can generally find you a laptop around £500 that will fit most people in a business who are doing a task in accountancy or in marketing or sales. It'll fit that. Maybe you'd spend a couple of £100 extra for somebody who might do a lot of different roles themselves, but you're not really talking huge money. It's the same when we have people with phones. They'll go, oh, I've bought Android handsets for all my users. Oh, right. What phone did you get? And they go, this Samsung that costs 99 quid. And it's going to be rubbish. It's just going to be a crap phone. And we now say, get this Pixel phone. It's 350. It was 310. It's 350 from Google. And that's about the best phone for money you can get for an Android phone. It's both James and I run it. It's a really nice little phone.
Nice one.
I'm on the same, boys. I'm on the same.
Good.
And for the price point, it's a bargain. My girlfriend's got the iPhone 11 full size. It's over $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't worth it. Over $1,000's worth of money.
Really. I've loved the transition from iOS to Android. I was a converter about 3 years ago because my business partner Rob he moved on to Pixels. And they're absolutely. I mean, the camera.
Camera in the market.
About technology in a bit, but it will come back to this.
You want to know an interesting thing about that camera? That camera lens in that phone. Which model Pixel is that you've got?
Oh, I wouldn't know. There's a new one. Pixel,
it's
or 3 or something. I don't know.
The camera lens is 3 years old, so everyone else has got a better camera lens, but it's all the AI that processes the photo after that makes it the best photo on the market.
So it's a NAF lens, but it's actually good technology that supports it.
How long have you had that one, PJ?
It's that camera there with 4 things on it.
Yeah, that's probably the Pixel 4, I think. Or it might be the Pixel 3, but either way, it's all the AI that does it. All the AI that does makes the photos amazing.
Recent one, 4 is it?
There's a 4A and there's a 5.
4A,
and there's a 4A 5G.
The bigger one.
Yeah, that I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just putting it up to a screen. Tell me what that is.
It's some sort of Pixel anyway you got there, and it looks like a new one. So you're right.
But we're all G Suite in Lightbox, as you know. So it just makes sense,
You'll be on a Chromebook next. If you get rid of that Mac, and you'll be on a Chromebook.
I was about to say that, I'm with Carl on. I helped grow another agency many years ago when I just got into digital from, I used to be a lawyer many years ago until I realised I was a bit of a chap. I joke, of course. And they ran Chromebooks, or just used Chromebooks. And I think it was initially because of cost. You know, we were scaling quickly, and every time we had a new team member, it was, what's a Chromebook, 300 quid maybe? I don't know, something like that, maybe more. But the second we started to do some serious stuff on it, it was slow. It just dead, literally so slow. And because
I was talking about, because it was the cheapo ones.
We wouldn't invest in that extra 200-300 quid that Carl spoke about to enable us to do. So my experience of them is a negative one. When in fact, I think of my wife Kelly doing one thing, you know, mortgages, and she probably goes on to zero here and there. It could be perfect for her potentially. Yeah. You'd probably tell her not to, but in fact, I did say to give Carl a call because she wants to go from Windows email to Gmail because she's struggling with the cloud services in Windows.
Office, you mean Office 365?
Office 365, that's right.
Shit, that's why.
Well, there we go. I said she's having to update her security every year, pay 80. It's all confusing. Yeah. Where's the links? What do I do? And I just said, look, I'm not tech savvy at all. But Gmail's been so good for me, you know, with the cloud and all that. It's so easy. Yep. The collaboration on documents and stuff. But anyway, is it easy to migrate from Windows Office 365 to Gmail?
I was doing one at the moment, and look, he's sitting there doing nothing because it's the migration's going through in the background. So yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's straightforward to do. There's tools that are there from Google to enable you to do that migration. So yeah, it's no issue to do it. We do. Sometimes we have customers who are on 365. Sometimes they just have a mix and a match. But I'm doing a full 365 one at the moment, and it's straightfortve. Yeah, it's no worries.
Good, Carl, give you a call. Then you might make a few quid there, lads. Anyway, yeah, we digress.
Let's move on to the news. Oh, what were you about to say, PJ?
It's just been good, basically. In answer to your questions, it's been good times.
Let's get on to the news then. So, I don't know if you use LastPass or anything like that for your password managing, PJ, but
yeah, we do.
Well, if you're using the free version of LastPass, they're now limiting it to one device for the user. So you can either have it on your mobile phone, or you can have it on your desktop. You can't have it on both. So before you can have it on all of them, so it would just all sync up. Okay. So a lot of people, we don't use LastPass anymore. We moved away from LastPass about 2 years ago to one called Bitwarden.
Bitwarden.
Yeah. So the main difference between LastPass and Bitwarden is LastPass is closed source, so you can't see the source code. You have to rely on LastPass that it is secure. But Bitwarden is open source, so anyone can go in there and inspect the code if they want to and check that it's secure. So it has lots of independent people checking it all the time to make sure it's secure. So straight away, you know, okay, that's secure because you've got all these independents that have checked it out for you. Yeah. But if you're using the free version of LastPass, the free version of Bitwarden has all the features that are now getting removed from LastPass still available for it. Cool. We always recommend using the business versions of these products, especially if you're going to use them in business, because it makes it easier to share and manage passwords out. So we use Bitwarden, and Bitwarden has a thing called collection. So we set up a collection for each of our clients where we keep their login details, and it just means we can just add people to that collection if we need them to be able to access those passwords. But Bitwarden's the way to go, and clearly there's going to be a massive influx of it. I've seen on Reddit and people like that asking, where should I go now that LastPass has made their software kind of pretty much unusable for someone who's got the free version, and everyone's off to Bitwarden.
Oh, awesome. That's really helpful. I mean, our devs are, as you'd probably expect, are all over open source platforms and stuff. So I think
I love that. They can self-host it if they want to. If they want to get proper geeky.
That's all foreign to me, but I'm sure they know that.
But it's a weird decision by LastPass. They had it free for years, and now they've just made it. They basically made it an unusable product if you've got more than one device, which everyone does.
I don't know whether I mean, this is a sin to even think this. I mean, we've been tightening up our subscriptions the last 6 months, but I don't know whether we pay for LastPass. How much is LastPass out of interest? And then I'll be able to think that whether we do or not.
It's not that expensive. LastPass, and it depends on how many users you've got. I don't know the price off the top of my head for LastPass, but it's more expensive than Bitwarden because LastPass a few years ago were acquired by a company called LogMeIn, and they doubled or tripled the price what it originally was. And it's definitely more expensive than Bitwarden, whatever it is. So whatever you pay, it won't be like a couple of hundred most likely that you're paying for LastPass, but Bitwarden is a better product now.
All right, I'll have a look.
that's what LogMeIn did with their free product. For years, they had the free remote control service, and they just killed that off as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they just aim at the big corporate enterprise market, and they'll take their money there, and they don't think they're too interested now in the smaller person's usage.
Yeah.
Next story might interest you, PJ. It's about design and stuff like that. So Google has a design philosophy called material design, which they launched quite a few years ago. And I love material design. I think it's like literally the best design philosophy there is. Yeah. And they've now released a plugin for WordPress. And that allows you to create, it gives you all the material design, iconography, fonts and styles all built into this add-on for WordPress. You even get access to Google's own sans serif fonts and things like that are not normally freely available. It's a no-code plugin, so one-click plugin, and then you can design your website using material design without having to send it off to someone to actually, a designer in the past, to go and create a material design form for you. So it's following all the material design guidelines built in and stuff like that. Very interesting because it's WordPress, and for anyone out there who's building a website, it works with the WordPress drag and drop editor. So no coding needed. You can just drag and drop the elements in and change the themes and colors that way too.
This is awesome, man. I'm gonna test our designers on that after this call. See what they know about it. So I'd like to think they know everything about it.
Just checking.
I'll let you know.
I love material design. I just think it works so well. Just nice. There's been 2 versions of it. You had the first one, and now they've streamlined it again with the next version of material design. And it's basically everything you use with Google. It's a play on shadows and things like that on the screen to make stuff look like it's got layers, like it's paper on top of paper. And Gmail, Calendar, all Google products run off material design, and lots of their apps.
I didn't know I'd learned so much on this call, lads. Thank you. I love it.
No worries. Send the invoice over later.
Yeah. I keep sending you like little snippets like this by email. That'd be lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Carl, you take this one over. This is about that nursery cam.
Yeah, this was mentioned earlier on. We've seen this.
I'll just say one thing.
Yes.
With this nursery cam, Richard DeVere, who was a guest on our podcast, he assisted in the discovery of this Flora nursery cam.
Did he actually assist in the discovery? Did he? Okay, I didn't realise that.
I believe he was involved in it.
Shared his post on it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
The issue we have here is we've all had young children who've been in nursery, and there are systems available for parents to log in and see their children securely to make sure they're, see them being looked after, etc., that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this organisation is part of a company called Footfall Limited that provide these kind of security camera systems. And a couple of quality security researchers basically found out that it's completely insecure. It's not encrypted, that the username and password are generic, and they're shared out with all parents. And these systems are easily viewable over the internet by those who have a little bit of IT skill. And they got into a bit of a spat on Twitter, and the company were really weird. They were kind of spam tweeting the security researchers and accusing them of all sorts of things. And it got quite nasty for a while. And then they've had to now report to the ICO, the Information Commissioner's Office, that actually their system is vulnerable, that they had a data breach, and that's been done now. And the thing with this is really, as parents, is to never make an assumption that any computer system that involves your children is safe or secure.
Yeah.
Just never be too comfortable that everything's okay. You've always got to have a bit in the back of your mind that, am I 100% sure about this, particularly if a third party is involved?
Yeah. How would you test that? What sort of questions would you ask?
The other thing with this breach, just before we get onto that, PJ, was that the login and password that they used, they sent it out to every single parent to access the cameras. Yeah. But if a parent once a child's finished at the nursery, because it was just one password hard coded into everything, well, that parent can still go and view it even if their kid's not there anymore. Yeah. They also put it on their help documentation, which was freely available on the website, so anyone could go in and find it. Okay. And apparently they had been told about this 6 years prior and didn't do anything about it either.
Mate, it's a sin, isn't it, really, if you think about how bad that is.
There's no real way of discovering it. It's knowing what to look for, but you only know what to look for if you know. You can't look for what you don't know about, because how many people are going to type into Google username and password for nursery cam? It's unlikely people are going to do that. Yeah, well, security researchers are going to find it.
Yeah, you do trust. You just put a lot of trust in these people, don't you? In organisations that they've done all the the due diligence that you'd expect of the, sometimes these things obviously.
To be honest, for me, I would never have touched it because I'd have seen, if you go to their website and you look at it, you think, okay, this is old, this website, this is not a good design anymore. And it's like, you just know that you just get that feeling because when you've been on the internet for a long time as you and us guys have been, you can just see when something, okay, there's no effort being put into this or hasn't been updated since '98. You can tell. And It's like, okay, I'll probably just give that a miss just based on the look of it and the feel that you're getting.
It's crazy, isn't it? That the sense you can get, it's a spider sense, isn't it? What's happened then to the company? Do you know?
They're still there. This was actually reported on BBC News, and apparently they're going to. I think they've taken the service down, haven't they, Carl?
They have. They took the service down. Yeah.
And I don't know how they're going to go around fixing it because all this stuff is hardwired into the actual hardware that you connect in. Isn't that right, Carl?
Yeah, it is, because pretty much all of these kind of CCTV systems that people buy that are a box that you have in your office that records and you can access it via your phone, they're all pretty much managed by one company system out of China. Okay. And it's a Linux operating system that's shoved on a box, and most of it's really old. And it's an industry that needs to change. These things aren't the way to do it. You can get cloud-based cameras from multiple providers like Google and Amazon that send all the information out onto the internet, and then you can view it. And you've just got, I'm afraid those big players have just got the power to make this more secure. And these cheap systems are cheap systems, and they're not very good.
We've got two clients that are using Google Nest cameras, which are naturally going to be secure, and you've got a big team there looking after it to make sure your data stays secure. And it's a nice app that runs on your phone. Interestingly, with the first one that we installed it in a few years ago, they had a problem with stationery going missing in their office. And the first night that camera was installed, the morning after, it picked up the cleaner, rifling through the stationery cupboard and taking the stationery. So they found out who was nicking it straight away, fired them immediately. So return on investment was instantaneous on the cameras. But they're fun. They're fantastic, the Nest cameras as well, because you can set it up to alert you with a certain activity at a certain window in the office and things like that, rather than having to bleep you all the time when it sees people. Yeah. But those are the type of cameras to go for, and that's really the sort of systems that offices should be using, those type. And schools, it's a bit more difficult because you've got to have lots of different logins and stuff like that. I don't have a good product that would do that for a school. You're not aware of one, are you, Carl, either yet?
No, I wouldn't know anything at this point. No.
But that nursery cam was just a ridiculously badly designed product and service.
Cool.
Final one. Is this yours, or it's about a black country, Facebook censoring a local dish?
Yes. Yeah, this is an example of where sometimes the AI and machine learning that we hear about in all the social media algorithms isn't quite as smart as we would like to think it probably is. And everyone says, that Big Brother is watching us and it super knows everything. Well, sometimes it's a bit thick. And this time Facebook was a bit thick. There is a group in Facebook dedicated to a black country dish called faggots and peas, which any of us who live in the West Midlands have had. It's a big meatball. It's a meatball with peas and gravy and mashed potato, and it's very popular around here. Unfortunately, the name faggot also has connotations in other parts of the world with homophobia. And Facebook couldn't quite get the gist of this and shut the group down and threaten the admin of the group that their group would shut down. It's got 13,000 members who've been sharing recipes for like years on here. And basically the user had to contact Facebook, and eventually Facebook got the gist of it, probably via a journalist, and has changed it up. And you know what? One word. It had no context. So it makes you wonder how smart sometimes this stuff really is, that it hadn't got any context whatsoever. All it could do was see the spelling of the word and then decided that it was the homophobic slur rather than the recipe.
Rather than the I've got some of them in the freezer, mate. There's some you would have seen them before. They come in that sort of like foil.
Brains faggots.
Brains faggots, that's the one, mate. That's the one.
I was trying to make some kind of joke about the AI and the black country accent, but I couldn't quite fit it in there somewhere. But it amused me anyway as a news story, that one.
Now, you know what? It's quite interesting actually, because we as a business had a big struggle with Facebook, and no doubt it's born out of AI and robots and stuff, that we were running ad campaigns for some of our clients, and they were just being turned off because they thought we were profiteering from the pandemic. We had a law firm that were doing supporting businesses on their business interruption insurance claims. We had people trying to sell non-medical grade masks, all that, everything that was completely within the guidelines of Facebook's ad violation policy and stuff like that. And they were just like, bang, gone straight down, disabling ad accounts. all based off sort of AI and machine learning, when in fact it's just completely flawed, and actually really affected, because as you'll know, once you start getting bad vibes, for want of a better word, around ad account, it really sort of filters down to other campaigns that start getting shut off here and there, and the legitimate campaigns. So yeah, we've gone from faggots to Facebook ads. But there was a bit of news actually that actually about Facebook. Again, it might have been something to do with this faggot gate, but they were I think they've re-lifted a ban on news in Australia. I don't know whether you've seen that.
Okay, not seen that yet.
They were doing a big they're basically trying to not persecute, but they're going to get advertising giants to start paying for news, basically. But what they did, they just slammed a big ban on news across Australian Facebook channels, just whilst they sorted it out.
They've U-turned on that now, have they?
Apparently, they've U-turned, they've lifted the ban, but there's going to be obviously repercussions for people that want to push out proper journalism, the big brands and stuff. They're going to have to pay for that. You know, dare I say, is Facebook the community for happiness and fun anymore, or a big, massive advertising machine that makes a lot of money? Maybe that's another podcast for another day.
Yeah.
But from, you know, removing itself from tech just for a minute, I think for me, the good news this month, or certainly the last couple of weeks, is, I mean, we won't go into the contracts of Matt Hancock and stuff like that. I mean, that's just all weird and wonderful. But like, you know, the vaccination, dare I say, it's pretty good. We're rolling that out. So there's positive vibes there. I mean, I've tried to keep coronavirus off the agenda for the last couple of months, because it can just bring us, you know, people that you've got on with for years, you start arguing with them for no reason, you know, because everyone's going through a very, you know, different journey. But surely the fact that we're rolling out the vaccination is good news. So fingers crossed we've got a bit of a light at the end of this weird.
Yeah. Well, there was some news on that I think I shared it with you, Carl. I'm just trying to quickly find it yesterday. It was something like a new study that's come out on the vaccine, specifically the Oxford one. Here we go. Let me just quickly open this for a second. Saying like it's a it was a
huge reduction in those over 80 who were getting.
Yeah, it's like 94%. Yeah, reduces hospitalisation risk by 94%.
And that's the Oxford one.
Yeah, the Oxford AstraZeneca 94%, the Pfizer by 85%.
Yeah,
fantastic. I mean,
it's working. Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Yeah, let's remove the debate around like people helping their mates out with £300 million contracts, and let's focus on the positive vibes around vaccination. You know, my parents had theirs, my in-laws have had theirs. I mean, dare I say, boys, I mean, we're probably in the category to have ours next, aren't we? You know, plus 40. I don't know about. Yeah, I was going to say I'm not too sure exactly.
38. You boys will be ahead of me.
Right. But yeah, hopefully by the end of April, we're going to have a bit of a jab as well. And what was it? June the 12th, we're back in nightclubs and stuff. So bring it on.
So he says, yeah. June the 21st is the big one.
The 21st.
Back to normal. And today it's just a 600% increase in holiday bookings and stuff.
Oh, really? Yeah.
There's a lot of money parked that's coming. I think we've predicted that we'll have the roaring 20s. We're going to see a boom period for 10 years. After the last pandemic about 1918, there was a boom, the roaring 20s. I think we'll see it.
I hope so, because there's a lot of organisations that deserve it. You know, they've really got through this through the right ways. Yeah, fingers crossed that happens.
Was it the 21st of July, he said, something like that? There's a date around that.
21st of June.
Yeah, I saw someone put a funny post on LinkedIn earlier. It was a GIF of people hammered in a pub, and it was a 10 a.m. Wetherspoons on the 21st of June.
Yeah, I've seen all those GIFs, mate. People are putting like all-day sessions in. I mean, let's say, but we've seen a few U-turns already by the government. Let's just see how it works. I mean, there are loads disclaimers, aren't there? You know, every stage has to have X, Y, and Z in place before it moves on to the next step. But let's stay positive. Fingers crossed. On a beach somewhere the late summer this year. Be nice to see.
Let's have a chat about you then now, PJ, on the interview. Let's come on, tell the listeners a bit about yourself and your backstory. I know you originally trained as a lawyer, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't see this section actually.
That's even better then. It's
ask you about Ecto 1 and those trophies, but we'll come back to that. I was I've had a bit of a mixed sort of journey, I suppose. My CV's pretty, I suppose it's not standard. About 6 stone ago, I I had the dreams of becoming a professional footballer. You know, from 10 years old right up until 17, I was with clubs from Derby to Shrewsbury to Port Vale, and you know, I was. So
you weren't bad. You're pretty decent then.
Yeah, I was county level. You know, all this. You know, I was decent. I was a goalkeeper.
Okay.
To the grandiose height of 5'10" and a bit quite early. So everyone thought I was going to, you know, be the height that goalkeepers are now. They're monsters, aren't they? But unfortunately, I started to grow sideways rather than.
Is that better? Yours a goal out more.
Yeah, I suppose maybe 5-a-side. Yeah, but no. So I was released just before my 17th birthday, and I still get pains talking or thinking about that now, you know. But so that was a journey that I went on. But I was lucky to be in a school of excellence that was a footballing school. But I was, you know, academic-wise, you know, I was pretty good. And my career's advice was literally, look, you're going to get straight A's. Why don't you be a lawyer? At the time, Alec McBeal was on the telly. I don't know whether you remember that show, but it was about dancing babies and cocktails. You know, that, you know, everyone in the legal practice was just getting on the sesh and having a laugh. So I thought, oh, might be all right. So yeah, I just went down the whole sort of law degree, law school, training.
Are you on the bar? And
No,
on the bar?
The solicitor route. So the bar was for like the barristers. I wish I had. Okay. You get a wig, don't you? And that would have been. Yeah. But I don't suit hair, so I went down the solicitor route, and it was great. I mean, it was slowed down somewhat because whilst I was at law school, I got on Big Brother, which was weird. I knew what Big Brother was, of course. My best mate's mum was a huge fan. I was a bit of a, dare I say, bit of a lad back in the day, or I thought I was. Bit loud, one of those, you know, lads at the pub that you'd hear before you saw. And actually, I won't come on to that, but that was probably a bit more of a facade. I'm really quite a shy person. Like, so I remember when my dad always said when I was going into college and uni, like, you know, you can be whoever you want now. And I sort of decided to be this sort of bravado, you know, right, mate. But anyway, that aside, she'd applied for me on my behalf. So I'd got this application form through the post. And back then you had to do your own video. That's on the internet somewhere. Yeah, without boring you, like 15 stages later, which was perfect because I wasn't at law school on a Wednesday, and these interviews, assessments, psychometric tests, whatever it might be, fell on a Wednesday. So Tuesday nights, I was getting taken down to London, putting up in a hotel, going into whatever it might be, assessment days, interviews, really good fun. Yeah. And all of a sudden, they asked me, you know, 3 months later to be on the show. And the Big Brother 3 book starts with the conversation that the exec producer had with me, because I was the first one to be asked, apparently. And I remember just dropped I was in the car with my dad, just dropped my brother off to the train station. He was at university in Sheffield at the time. And Phil Edgar Jones, who I still stay in touch with, he's head of Sky Art at the moment. He was the producer at Endemol. And he was like, look, do you want to do it? And I was like, I won't swear, but I did swear. And I looked at my dad, and I was just about to be a lawyer, just got a job down in London, you know, all this sort of stuff. And my dad was like, look, just do what you need to do. And luckily for me, I phoned the firm, phoned the law society, all that, and they said, look, you're not a lawyer at the moment. as long as you don't go in and start doing weird and wonderful. I mean, I did push the boat out a little bit, what I got up to in there. But yeah, I just cracked on, and I had a great experience. It was really, really good fun. Difficult at times because, like, legitimately, like, I didn't have any. You have no communication from the outside world. Okay. You have 3 reasons why someone can get in touch with you. And mine were if anyone of my loved ones were ill or had died, that if any at one time the partners thought that my career was jeopardised as a lawyer. Okay. Never, I can't remember, but we never got the call. So it was, you know, got on with it. And obviously I've met some great people like Jade, bless her, who's no longer with us, and Alison Hammond, who I'm really good friends with, and Kate Lawler and all that. So the experience was more than just me being on the front of OK magazine and getting a few nice cars here and there. It was more long-standing than that, and I'm very, very grateful for that experience. But yeah, I moved quickly, not quickly, but I had a couple of years off, just enjoyed myself, and then went back into law. Realised, you know, that career's advice that just because I was going to get 3 A's, I should be a lawyer was not good enough, and I just didn't enjoy it. Problem was, I quickly became, you know, I worked with some really big firms, so I had, you know, I was afforded a nice lifestyle that me and my wife didn't really want to sort of just push to one side. But when I was getting in a car to go to work, I was just anxious, and I thought life's, you know, it's not worth doing that. So I had to think of something else. And I sort of stumbled into charity. I was at my last law firm. I stumbled across this chap, Harry Mosley, young boy. He'd done loads of things like.
I recognise the name.
Yeah, as a young, he was 8 years old, I think. Bless him. He had a brain tumour, and he started making bracelets and selling them. And he was an absolute legend. I never met him, unfortunately, but I followed his journey online. I've just become a dad, as you all know. You find this heart that you never thought you had. You start crying at Lewis adverts and stuff. And I just wanted to help. And this kid passed away. I thought, right, I need to help. Contacted his mum. Long story cut short, me and Tim did some organised a number of balls, made hundreds of thousands of pounds. It was an amazing thing to get involved with. It's absolutely beautiful. The charity's still going and doing really good things. But that led into LoveBrum, because after 2 years of being a trustee, I was getting a bit. We were shattered. We were doing a lot of work, and by then I was doing other things around digital and stuff like that. And so we gave it up really. Two weeks later, I was on the phone back to the team saying, look, I've still got that itch that I need to scratch, or the other way around. And LoveBrum was born, the old Contemptibles. We wanted to, we'd seen a lot of projects that were hidden, that didn't really have the spotlight, talking about the cool things they're doing. So we wanted to shine a light on those, whatever that looked like. We wanted to make sure that Birmingham remained on the map. I was getting quite political at that point, with a lowercase p, around Birmingham being overlooked. So I wanted to set up a sort of movement for a better Birmingham. And 6 years later, with the supports of your good selves, and we've built a beautiful community of people that comes together every week, every day, to do some really cool things. We've supported over 200 local projects. We've given away over £200,000. Yeah. But it's more than just the funding. We are actually doing so much more, and it's just I'm very proud of the stuff we've done at LoveBrum. But during that time, I was doing some biz dev stuff for a local digital marketing agency. Really enjoyed it. But I was not promised, but assured that I'd be considered to sort of join that business. I was interested. I'm quite an entrepreneur guy in a way, and I always wanted to do my own thing. So I ended up setting up my own little social media business called Blake 7. Didn't realise it had something to do with a decent.
Remember you mentioning that before?
I can't believe you didn't know that.
I promise you, I didn't. My son's name's Blake, and I asked Minnie for a favourite number, and she said 7. So I said, sweet. No, sorry, I asked Blake for his number. He said 7. And then when I asked him again, he said it's 148, but I'd already registered the domain. But realised Minnie was born on the 7th of the 7th, so Blake 7 stuck. But yeah, I had loads of inquiries about obviously Star Trek and stuff like that. But yeah, that was great. And we grew really quickly. Nothing like you guys or Lightbox now, but I had a couple of people. It was working with good businesses, certainly batting above our average. And then we started coming up against Lightbox all the time. And Rob's been a good friend of mine for 6 years. He's a blue nose like me. We share the same pains and struggles and sorrows and stuff. And he just said, look, you know digital. He knew dev, design, project work and stuff. So we've just come together, and I mean, it's brilliant. Yes, I'm the co-owner of Lightbox now, and I feel like we're doing some really good things. It's been challenging the last 2 years, as in we've had to put a lot of processes and systems and retooling and stuff like that into the business. But actually, we're in such a better place because of that. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to tell you, but it's a checkered life, but I'm happy with where I am. I've got 2 young kids, and I'm very lucky.
You've been awarded the is it Points of Light? I'm not sure what that is. As a government award, Points of Light.
It's basically like the American version of like the MBE, almost. To be fair, it's not recognised anywhere near the Queen Honours in the UK. But yeah, it's more.
Is that for LoveBrum? You got that for?
Yeah. It was recognising my volunteering and commitment to the community. It was actually one of the last things David Cameron did before he did a runner. He sent me the Points of Light with Tim Andrews. But it was lovely. I went down to number 10 Downing Street. I've been down a few times actually. Yeah, it was nice. It was a nice occasion. Something again to tell the grandkids, or my own kids when they're a bit older.
Yeah, excellent work getting that. And so what excites you most about your work then with LoveBrum and Lightbox?
I think genuinely the LoveBrum stuff is it's never been a commercial thing for me. Has it opened doors? Of course it has. Have I used it for a commercial? No, I haven't. I'm not really found the time to do that. I mean, some people do, and it's great. We encourage that. We want Birmingham to do business with Birmingham, the Birmingham pounds and all that. But it genuinely makes me feel like a nicer person. Like you know, there's a few sort of things that I've had to iron out in my past that I'm a bit more comfortable with now because of the stuff that I'm giving back to Birmingham and seeing that whole. I mean, it's got nothing to do with me anymore. Of course, I sit on the board, but it's got everything to do with the fact that people like yourselves that continue to support it, and that just makes me genuinely proud that we're in a city that has some really lovely people in it. Simple as that. We were asked by the Cabinet Office once, you know, at the government to say, you know, LoveBrum should be like franchised almost. And I was like, I just don't think you can bottle the spirit and our community, you know, and then reposition that into different cities. You know, it just doesn't work. You know, I think Birmingham is a proud city. There are loads of things get wrong with it that we need to fix. But so that's the thing with LoveBrum. It just really makes me at peace that we're doing some brilliant things as an organisation. And there's an education piece around all the other things that are going on. But with Lightbox, exactly that as well. We're doing some great things. Like you are, look, you know, you're investing in your team, you're investing in your technology, you're investing in your learning. And sometimes you can just think, right, what's next? You know, going for the revenues, going for the profit. Well, actually, we've slowed that down. I think the pandemic has helped, in inverted commas, to us to do that. Look at what we're trying to do. And that's actually to build a really happy agency where people are just cool to come in, really happy to work. You know, not everyone likes working, do they? Just like we spend most of our time working, so let's make sure it's a nice environment to do that. But yeah, it's good, mate. We're working with some brilliant clients. You know, we've got exciting things with HubSpot. We're very fortunate with the people that we're attracting. We've got a really, really nice company, and you know, ethically it's strong. Morally, I'd like to think it's bang on. I mean, maybe we do need to get better at getting back to some people here and there, like you said at the start. But yeah, we've got exciting times ahead. So as I said, I feel very lucky at the moment.
Everyone's focusing on like the negatives of the pandemic. What positives did you say that the pandemic and coronavirus has brought to LoveBrum and Lightbox?
I think you know, the word pivot, I think it was used a lot. But I think me personally, it's really sort of given me a bit of insight as to who's out there for me. Like, I'm always happy to give, but you know, my phone wasn't like off the hook of people seeing if I was okay. So I've sort of personally, I know where I am now in my journey in relation to where I need to be, who I need to be around. You know, it's not necessarily jumping straight back into every networking event that I used to do. Far from it. So I think personally, I'm more comfortable with what I think that needs to look like going forward. Commercially, I think it's been like the first 3 months, here and there, I was crying in the shower, like just randomly. I was so tired, you know. It was like, what is going on? Like, you know, we had clients run for the hills, you know. Ironically, I don't know whether it affected you guys, but ironically, you know, some of the infrastructure work that businesses put in from marketing and software, they're the first things to stop, you know, like the spend just stops, certainly for marketing. And it's like, hang on, it should be the other way around potentially. But, you know, we've got some very loyal clients, so we didn't get hit too hard. But yeah, it's allowed us to sort of slow down a little bit and just really appreciate what we're doing it for. LoveBrum, we're able to sort of support more COVID-related support projects. So projects that are, you know, delivering support to kids that, you know, we've got children losing like their dads and not being able to mourn properly. You know, we're giving support in relation to that. We've got people who are self-isolating that need care packages delivered. So there's loads of brilliant projects that we're supporting there. So we've changed our focus slightly to support that, which is really good. And I'm happy how quickly we've done that through the LoveBrum project. And it helped with the community. Everyone was getting on there. I did the kitchen marathon on my treadmill, you know, and we had people.
Yeah, I saw that. What's that?
And all that. So it was, you know, the community piece was nice. But yeah, it's just to slow things down and seeing why we're doing things. Coming out of the pandemic, Lightbox, we're in a very good place. We were very lucky. We're liquid, so we had cash in the bank to get through this storm. But more importantly, it's enabled us to start really thinking about what we need to do, what processes we need to install, and what people we want around. We've got a non-exec board now that goes from a chairman to HR to FD, and we've got the right people around the project. And yeah, as I said, mate, like, you know, I think you buy your own luck, don't you, in life? You know, because you guys work as hard as I do, and everyone's working hard. But I think it's enabled us to make us some cute choices as to where we're going to be in 5 years' time. Our whole proposition now has changed. It's about making life easy, not just for ourselves, but for our clients.
Are you changing the way you guys work as well? Are you going to be more flexible, remote, or you getting people back in the office? What's your plans? I
think so. It'd be interesting to see what you know, not today, but you know, what your clients have been saying. But we invested in this space because we wanted to. I mean, it's got to all change. That isn't making digital human is no longer our proposition, but we invested in this space to go on that journey with the clients that, you know, the clients didn't just expect a different experience than we were above the pub before, you know, like typical agency. But I actually fear that we no longer need this space. I don't. We've got no one knocking our door down to come and collaborate with this huge. And literally, I'm on my own. You know, let's be honest. This is an expense to our business. So I think whatever this looks like, I think going forwards, the team will want to work flexibly in one way or another. And actually, we've now tested whether we can work effectively remotely. And despite us, everyone thinking that by default we should because we're digital, we're still learning. Like, it is difficult. The collaboration piece is tricky across Zoom and stuff. So I think there'll be a big, and we're doing good stuff around our internal happiness and stuff, you know, what people want out of life. And I think a lot of these, calling the kids, like, obviously that some are 17 years younger than me. They're not kids, obviously, but I think they've gone through a personal sort of like reflection piece as well. And they're thinking, hang on, I'd actually much prefer to be shutting my computer off at 6 o'clock and turning straight to my loved ones and just investing more time. I think
it's also the money that they've saved from not having to commute in. That's addictive when you see that in your bank account, and that could pay for potentially a holiday and stuff.
And without wanting to not support independence, you know, your £7, £8 falafel sandwiches that you're buying that you no longer are, you know, that you're better off. So I think we probably will go back to a more flexible way of working. I can imagine you'll have this office space filled for no more than 2-3 days a week when we're back
PJ, you need a chef in there in the future. When we get to the point where we can all mix again, get a chef. You've got a kitchen. It's a lovely space for those who are listening, aren't watching. The office is a fabulous place. I've been there with James, and it's a really beautiful bit in Birmingham and a really modern environment. And it's got a kitchen. So get a young chef in, right, from the catering college up the road, because you know you've got one just up the road, haven't you? You've got
Yeah.
Get them in, get them cooking food for people, and then you'll get people coming in for collaboration again. That'll get them out of their flats and back into your place.
That's a great idea, to be fair. As long as it's, I'm on slimming mode at the moment. I've put hands on.
Well, you can't have any. You can't have any. That's why you've got to come to sushi with us, because sushi's a very low fat, low carbohydrate in terms of your waistline food. It's good.
Yeah, it is very good food. I just can't stomach it, pal. I can do the vegetable ones and the mushroom stuff, but and the rice, that's about it. But you give me a big like slab of fish, like, not a chance.
You know what? Mostly it's not about the fish too much. James and I, a lot of the ones we enjoy are non-fish based, because I like the wasabi and the pickled ginger.
He's talking about himself. I like the fish.
Oh, you like the fish. I'm not some. I just like to blow my nose off with the pickled.
I like getting just you got to get just the right amount of wasabi. That's the thing in sushi, just enough that you can feel it starting to go up your nose, but it stops just before it hits your eyes, and that's when you got it perfect.
No, you need enough so it feels like you've been hit in the face with wood. That's why I like it.
I've got a bit of an obsession with jalapenos at the moment. They're going on everything. The things that COVID has turned us to.
Yeah. What's your favourite bit of technology that you couldn't live without, PJ?
Yeah, I thought about this, you know, and I instantly went to like business, ClickUp, you know, Monday, Slack, whatever, and then I thought, WhatsApp, and to go back to our phones. Although this is a big pain of mine in that I need to get better with like the balancing act between this and reality, is that I think this is like by far the best piece of technology that's ever happened, in the sense that if I slow my life down a little bit and go back to the cloud and look at all the photos that I've been able to take of my children and my family and all the occasions that we've had, this has to be by far the most valuable or life-changing piece of technology that I've experienced. I mean, you've got electric toothbrushes, they're pretty cool. Parking sensors, I mean, come on, they're massive. No doubt technology is around us left, right and centre.
I think the phone's the best one, because I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking, my daughter's got tons of pictures of me and her in the photo, but I haven't got many. My dad died ages ago. I haven't got many pictures of me and my dad, and that was because he died before essentially the iPhone came out, and phones were able to take photos straight away. Yeah,
and you know what, I think, and that's quite a poignant thing there. And thanks for sharing that, because that's, you know, I think if I didn't have that with my parents, that, you know, I mean, Big Brother, for instance, like the amount of people I've met and I couldn't take photos of, you know, naturally now it'd be like, oh, come on then, let's have a selfie, and you'd be able to remember it. I think the only warning would be is that you could quickly forget to remember. So you'll take it, and then it just buggers off to the cloud somewhere. And you don't ever, at least with the old cameras, you'd have them developed. Do you remember you get them developed?
Yeah.
Put them into like, you know, album.
Yeah. Very true.
There's nothing better at getting the photos out of Christmas and remembering, you know, your father and stuff like that. So that would be my only warning, just to make sure that we remember how powerful that is, that, you know, you can go back and see your memories and just remember what, you know, brilliant things you do.
So I guess, is that your favourite bit of technology ever then, the mobile phone? Or have you got something that, when you were a kid, like your SNES or something like that?
Oh, yeah, I was definitely, I had a Master System. Remember that, the Sega Master System?
I was a Nintendo boy, never had the Sega stuff.
Yeah, I was a Sega Master System, but when it Mega Drive, I flipped to Nintendo, the Super Nintendo. So I don't know whether the cops will catch up with me, but I bet you guys had all this because you're IT wizards. I had a Magic Com. Do you remember that? It was a thing that you put on the SNES and you could transfer cartridges into discs. So you could buy games for like 50p. So I had like 300 games for the SNES.
I bloody had that. Didn't have that. You're more advanced than me back then.
My mate was my best mate. He won Games Master. He was an absolute gamer. He still is. But what's lovely is I've seen, I'm sure your kids are, you know, about to go on the same journey, but Blake now, my son, we were lucky to get the Series X for him at Christmas. He's never been Xbox, always been like Switch and like that Nintendo.
Yeah.
And he's obsessed, mate. And I'm getting into it as well. So I'm having a few cheeky Fortnite battles as well. And
we got ourselves Google Stadia, which is the cloud-based gaming platform.
What's that? Google Stadia?
Yeah, so all you have is the controller, the Stadia controller. It plug into anything. You can run the games on your mobile. You can run it on a Chrome, but anything that's got a web browser, you can run it on. If you've got a Chromecast for your TV, the 4K one, it will play on that as well.
You don't need a control. You don't need to buy a console unit.
No console,
so when you want to play a game, you just load it up on the telly. I just press the button on the controller. It changes TV channel, and away we go. And me and my daughter play Cake Bash, which is the one James recommended. Or
£8.99 a month. £8.99 a month. £8.99 a month, and you'll get around about 4 or 5 free games a month, and then there's other games you can purchase as well at a lower discount too.
Oh, awesome! I'll have a look at that. I need to get more. I mean, for a guy that co-owns a digital agency, I'm not technical at all. You know, Kelly wants a smart home, you know, like geo-fencing the fence, so when I get home the kettle starts boiling or whatever, but I'm miles off it.
I've just found the Super Magicom, James. It converted games off floppy disk into the unit. Yeah. So that's how it worked. It read them off floppy disk and then it played it through this piece of hardware that simulated a cartridge.
Yeah, that's right, mate. It was like, honestly, it was brilliant. I had like everything. It's
ingenious, isn't it? Ingenious what people hack and, you know, put together and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was very lucky, like with all the stuff that I got growing up. I know we weren't very well off. Like my dad became very successful towards the end, but he was we weren't well off as kids, but we always got the best of, like, you know, computers and stuff like that. All the way back to the Spectrum ZX, then the whole like.
I've got mine. It's on the wall in a cabinet. I've got it.
Really?
Yeah, my first computer. Yeah.
Which was that? Which one was it? I mean,
FedEx Spectrum 48K. I've even got the receipt on the back that my dad paid £104 for it in 1983.
That was a few quid as well, you know.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, he was very concerned that it was an expensive Christmas present for his son, and would his son use it properly? And yeah, I used it right up to like 88, 89 when it was pretty much dead then because you wanted a Nintendo. But it was he got his money's worth out of it.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Fair play. You still got that. That's amazing. Fair play.
So PJ, who are your heroes, famous people or people that admire and inspire you?
Heroes.
Doesn't have to be anyone people know either. It could be just personal to you.
I'm very like my dad. Like, he's an absolute legend. Like, I know that's cliche, but he's an absolute hero of mine. Just because like the values he sets into his kids and how hard working he was, and you know, I think we all think that we work hard, but back in the graft days, like, you know, he absolutely grafted, and he was very successful towards. I mean, he retired at 52. He's still with us, thank God. But heroes. I mean, I grew up with Peter Schmeichel being a hero, mate. As a goalkeeper, he was like an absolute legend. George Best, you can't deny. You know, you have any football fan. Elon Musk, I don't know him, so I don't really. He might be a bit of a pillock, I don't know, but certainly when I look at like the roofs, like, I instantly want to buy one of his roofs. You know, have you seen the smart roof?
Panel roofs, yeah.
Absolutely wicked. So I've already put myself on the waiting list for that. I mean, Kelly doesn't know, but I think you can't not. Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, you will now.
Subscriber.
You can't not be inspired by people like that. Locally, you've got like loads of entrepreneurs that I really admire as well. That Andy Dawson, from Curium. He probably doesn't know how effective his little updates on LinkedIn have been, but it's really got me through pandemics and stuff. This pandemic. I mean, my business partner Rob, I actually really admire him. I think he's been, he's had this business for 15 years. Just to say that it's a massive thing. Yeah, how long have you guys been going? You've been going for a few years now as well, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I set this up in 2008.
I mean, look at that. Like, what a year to set up, eh? Like another pandemic. It's like, so people like that, I know it's not the hero status that you immediately think of, but being a businessman now and a family guy, which we all have a family, to see the challenges we're all facing, I think, I do sort of have a different perspective on what a hero is. But what about you? What's your hero? Who are your heroes?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
I do like Bill. I've always told Carl, whenever Bill Gates talks, stop and listen to him, because he warned about this pandemic 5 years ago in his TED talk.
Yeah.
Without Bill Gates, we wouldn't have a business really, because we wouldn't have computers that broke all the time. So thank him for that as well.
I don't too many, but one that jumps to mind would be Tony Hawk, the skateboarder, because I was a skateboarder in the mid 80s through to the early 90s and things like that. And the guy's just kept going. He's just a legend. Yeah. He's just a great hero in the skateboarding community for everything that he's done and kept going. And there's some fantastic stuff on YouTube of Tony Hawk's with worst slams and worst this and that. And the man's been through a lot, and he's just a lovely guy, and he's been through some of life's turmoils. Like he's 3 times married, multiple children, so he's also been famous, but also experienced the ups and downs that regular people have in their lives as well. And I like that guy a lot. Yeah,
he had a good game as well, mate, to be fair. It's a good game. I remember that, Tony Hawk's skate.
Yeah, Well, yeah, he brought skateboarding very much to the mainstream through the PlayStation game and that association that he did, and he put his time in at the X Games, which put it on a bigger stage. And it was due to be in the Olympics. It had been due to be there this year. It'll be there next year, hopefully. This year now. It will hopefully be there in Tokyo. And we'll see.
Oh, that's cool.
You've got one more hero as well. You might see up there. Michael Jackson. Big fan of Michael Jackson. That's the Dangerous album. Greatest album of all time, signed by him.
Oh really? Oh wow.
Yeah, bought it in an auction. So,
bought tickets for his the
I had them front row tickets. Yeah.
Did you keep the tickets, or did you get the room first?
Not with the amount I spent for front row tickets. I got my money back. I wasn't going to keep the tickets for that amount.
We got ours back. We weren't front row, but we wish we hadn't now, to be fair. But heroes. It's interesting, isn't it? Really. But Tiger Woods is also a good one. I mean, he's had a few little incidents as well, but that will throw over. But
if you were stuck on a deserted island, you can't take a mobile phone with you. But what other 3 bits of tech would you take with you if you wanted to survive on that deserted island? You're not going to get rescued anyway, so.
No, I don't mind. I've had an electric toothbrush of late. I've quite enjoyed that. That'd be always, that'd be helpful.
While the battery lasts, anyway. Charge it.
There we go. Yeah, I'm trying to think now of what else it would be, because I can't take my phone, so I can't have WhatsApp and stuff like that to talk to my mates. Can opener, maybe electrical can opener, just in case. But then I wouldn't have any cans.
For all those cans you're going to find on the deserted island.
Give us a clue. I wouldn't know. What are yours?
Why does not? Well, James, we have to let people have electricity because you're asking for technology, so you've got to give them free electricity. I go with a fridge. I still think a fridge is a good shout.
Fridge is a good one. I mean, maybe a toilet. If we're talking technology in relation to innovation.
I'd say fridge and solar panel, because you need the solar panel to charge that fridge. But also the solar panel could be reused for other things that you take.
There we go. I never would have thought of a solar panel. I would have thought of probably a big, massive SOS flag and a speedboat or something to get me off the island.
Speedboat's a good shout.
Yeah, but no, I'll have a think about that and let you know. It's a question that's probably been asked a million times. You never give it enough thought, because hopefully it won't ever happen.
Well, we'll have to book you on for a next episode to find out what you're doing, an episode in the future.
Really thanks. I mean, if that's the end, by the way, I don't know.
You've got recommendations. So this is anything you might have seen, watched, podcasts you listen to that you think the people will like listen. What do you think about that? We'll just do our two. So I like on Netflix. I like Snowpiercer. The series and season 2's just come out. It's basically the Earth is frozen. Some guy built a train track around the center of the Earth, and it has to keep moving to generate energy and revolution. It's really good anyway. Just have a watch the trailer.
Yeah.
The next one is called White House Farm on Netflix, and this is a true crime story about a murder in the early 90s, I think it was, or late 80s. Basically, the family living in the farm gets killed. You can't really do a spoiler on a crime thing because you can go and check it out anyway. But it turns out that one of the adopted sons was most likely the person who killed them to get hold of the life insurance and all this other kind of stuff. It's a British one, so it happened in the UK. White House Farm. It's just come out. There's only 4 episodes long. They're each an hour long. And it's really, really good. Definitely worth watching it. That one.
I love a look at that. I like stuff like that. I was obsessed with by a book, In Cold Blood, Truman Capote. Growing up, it was about like a big guy coming in, killing the family. It was just, and since then, anything about murderers, I'm all over.
You'll love this. You'll love this White House Farm.
I'm on it. I've just finished Night Stalker on Netflix. That was a bit like
that's good. Yeah.
That's good. That.
And I moved on to, is it the Cecil Hotel thing? I don't know whether you've seen it.
Okay, yeah.
I've seen that. How far you got through it?
Well, the first episode, she's gone a bit crazy. We've lost this lady. She doesn't know where she is.
I'll have to have a chat with you after you watch the whole thing and see what your opinion is of it is.
I see your face there. I'm not sure it's going to be as good as the Night Stalker or White House Farm, so I might have to pause that one for a bit.
It goes a bit odd. But it's worth watching anyway.
All right.
And then you've got is it yours? BBC Two, DeLorean, Back from the Future, Carl?
Yes, it is. It's the 1.5 hour film documentary on BBC Two about John DeLorean and when he set up the DeLorean Motor Factory in Belfast in the late 1970s, early 1980s. And it's really a potted history of DeLorean, and it's really interesting. I didn't know too much about him and why he did it, and it's quite fascinating to see why he started that car factory, how much money was into it, then what happens when the government changes from a Labour government to a Conservative government in '79. And DeLorean was probably the first show trial. O.J. Simpson's the one everyone thinks of, but DeLorean was there first. And it's a really interesting story of how this man is so narcissistic and vain and actually had a track record of doing that. And really, he only built the car to live this lifestyle of luxury. He didn't really have any interest in the car long term, and he had no interest in the factory and the people. He was totally interested in him and his own wealth and his own standing. It's a really good documentary.
Didn't even know. I just thought the DeLorean was made for the Back to the Future show. I didn't know it was from Belfast. I certainly didn't know it was a proper, manufacturing sort of.
He left GM after running Pontiac division, and he became the youngest vice president. And he wanted to build this car, and he was looking for funding in the world. And Northern Ireland turned him down. Republic. So the Northern Irish then went back and said, "Well, we'll have the money," and so they did. And he put it there, and he never really went there very often. And he would have had the chance to have took Catholic and Protestant people and put them together in a factory, and they worked together and they were bonding, and that would have made a big difference in Northern Ireland, of course. And threw that to one side. He got involved in cocaine trafficking in order to get funds. It was crazy.
As you do. I mean, yeah, there's some weird and wonderful stories out there at the moment. There's what's that one at the moment? Is it Serpents? That's some gem dealer or something. That's like, it's just crazy stuff. I mean, I haven't watched it, but a friend of mine's recommended, our technical lead actually, that there's a documentary or story, I don't know if it's on Netflix, about McLaren. The car McLaren, the driver McLaren who set it all up. Everyone thinks it's a British car. It was actually New Zealand, I believe, I think, from the top of my memory. But I think for me at the moment, watching, I've just finished Night Stalker. We've moved on to a thing called Angels. I'm not too sure about that at the moment. Anything business related, I quite like. We're watching Schitt's Creek.
Is that any good? Is that good?
It's all right. It's one of those ones where you got in late, you're doing your dinner, you just want something on in the background while you catch up, sort of thing. It's all right. But yeah, all these other ones I'm definitely going to watch, especially
I've binge watched The US Office, which I'd never really seen before.
Yeah, same here. We were doing that as well. I never thought it would. I still don't meet how good the British one was, but it's pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It's different, and when it grows into its own story, it's actually a really, really good comedy. The US Office, well worth watching. But if you get into it, there's 200 episodes, so there's a lot to watch.
That's the only problem, we've got to flirt with others because we'll just be on that for the next 2 years, But yeah, I mean, there's so much. I mean, I'd say, unfortunately, I didn't go on furlough and stuff, but I know how difficult it has been for people who've had to do that. but I wouldn't have minded with hindsight a nice couple of weeks off just to Netflix binge, which unfortunately I've been unable to do. I'm just binging on burgers instead. Well, thanks for that, gents. There's loads of takeaways from that. I've really enjoyed it. Certainly.
No worries. I hope you enjoyed your first podcast.
Yeah, I've never been asked to do one before, so thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been nice to catch up.
Where do people go if they want to get in contact with you and find you? Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter, Brummy_PJ. Instagram, PJE122. But just more importantly, just go to lovebrum.org.uk and give as much love as you can, like you do, like you guys do. And again, thank you so much for your support. Keep up the good work on the podcast. I know how difficult it can be and how, dare I say, all viewers, how organised it was. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
but no, I appreciate it, and thanks again.
No worries. That's it for this week, and we'll speak to everyone in a fortnight time. Don't forget to like, share, and tell all your friends about this podcast. Awesome. Bye-bye.
Again.
Cheers.